Hey guys, just give me a quick moment. For any of you who are here right away, I'm trying to... A lot of stuff moving. We are live. And then... We are live. There we go. Okay, so what I need to do in the middle of all this is not sit on my earbuds. I'm going to try switching something out real quick here. You know what? While we're waiting also, let's just go ahead and start that over. And pull that back up. So what I'm doing, I'm getting the last couple of... Today, I don't know about you guys, today has been an absolute madhouse in some ways, and in other ways, not at all. So, it's weird. I think it's decently bright, but just in case, let's try this out anyway. Set you down there. And bring this up. Trying something out here real quick, pardon me. There we go. Okay, let's try this. So we don't want the light in the shot. Except we don't want the light in the shot. Okay. So what has happened today is it has just been so much stuff. I've been frantically running around trying to get everything all set in order. And if you guys could, let me know if the audio levels are all good. Make sure everything is working, functioning. We're off to a good start. Set the cleaner, not cleaner, it's airbrush thinner. Set that there. Let's see. Wow, that is so weird. That is so weird. I'm not happy about that. That's not good. That's not good at all. Just set these over here. Right on there. Clean all that off. There we go. Hey, Eric, how are you? So what we're doing, I'm trying to get ready to do some painting. But as I was starting to explain, things were kind of hectic here for a little bit. I just finished airbrushing this. Oh, see, there we go. Get it in focus. Maybe. Get it in focus. 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 There we go. So I got this new sculpt, this new pose for the Goblin. So this is one that I did myself. So I'm pretty proud of it because I'm not a modeler. So I can just play with parts and get stuff to work. So it's something. But yeah, so this will be the Hero Goblin, which it'll have the same stats as the standard Goblin. It's just that just a different pose, because you know when you start building your forces and you've got 4 or 5 of the same mech, it just gets kind of boring if they all look exactly the same. And in the game, you want multiple goblins if you're playing as the Union, because they're good. All right. Well, I'm a little disappointed with how this turned out because I was kind of in a hurry. I finished modeling this or positioning the parts and everything yesterday. Printed it last night, yesterday, had it, cleaned it, cured it, everything, got it all even airbrushed with all these different primer colors and everything in almost less than 24 hours. So that's pretty cool for me. Yeah, Ghost Knight. Yeah, this is... So what I was trying to do last time I did Revelations, I did it on my other channel. But this is where I want to bring all the Revelations content. So I'm trying to get in that direction. Last time was also a good test for all the equipment and everything else. So we'll be still continuing different tests here tonight with everything. And yeah, so I'm gonna let this keep drying because I just finished airbrushing this guy. So we're gonna let him, like literally within a few minutes ago, I was finishing him. He I don't normally try to cut it like that. Normally they've like been airbrushed and cured and everything else for a while after or before, but I did not have time. And I was all excited for it, so I wanted to get it out and show it. I'm gonna move this. There we go. Are we getting decals for the units? That is something we want to release soon. I purchased some water slider paper to test, and I need to find it. We had it before we moved. I now have this new studio. It's a whole new townhouse for us, for my family. But that is something we want to do because I think it makes the units look a lot cooler. I mean, this put it here. This Goblin is, for the 11th Myriad, which is my personal favorite at the moment. But it doesn't have any decals. As cool as it is and all these different colors that it has, it needs decals, right? So we'll have to get some of those put together. All right, so what I'm going to do while we're waiting for this to fully cure, we're going to move on to some of these bases. I've got them mostly done. They need a little bit of dry brushing, so what I'm going to do is I just got these flocked a couple hours ago. And I just need to get them... Oh, can't even see what I'm doing. May have to pick a different angle for this. Let's try this. A little bit more over my shoulder. But how was everybody's Monday? Mine was hectic, but not bad. So get this all dusted off the dirt here, then we can dry brush it, paint the edges, and hopefully the Goblin will be ready by then. We can move on to that. I'm excited. I did a whole bunch of these 3-inch bases because I've got a bunch of T5 Orions, which are massive Union of Stars tanks. I've got those out there. I couldn't get them dry brushed to the last color. I did the blue underneath the teal, the emerald here. I just couldn't get them done in time. I was trying. I spent time assembling them, cleaning them up, getting everything all good. I just didn't have time, which sucks because I really wanted to do those, actually. I've put off doing the Orions for like my own collection for a while just because I wasn't happy with some things about them. And now that I've printed them on my 4K printer, they are amazing. They look so good. So good. And actually, if I remember correctly, the Orion was the very first tank we had modeled, so it was really, I believe it was the first one we did. Was it the second one? Oh man, I can't remember. But it's one of the first two, and it's a gorgeous tank. It's a big old monster thing. But hopefully be able to do that soon, show you guys. If nothing else, I'll end up in one of the gaming streams. Okay. Yes, Chris, it is hot outside. Here in Florida, man, it is hot. Hey, Roger, how you doing? Running around with work, Eric? Yeah, that's... I wasn't really... I mean, this is part of what I want to be full-time business, so I guess technically it was the same thing as me running around. I was spending a lot of time cleaning... Well, not a lot, but decent amount of time cleaning up my my laser cutter that we have for the business. So we can do, the MDF bases, but also because we need to do the tokens for... Get out of here. For the Kickstarter. Last of the coffee. Iced coffee. If I can get a straw in my mouth. Alright, so let's start doing the dry brushing. That way I'll have 4 different bases already prepped. One for the Goblin, an extra 2-inch, and then 4 3-inch for the Orions that are out in the other room waiting. We can use a bigger brush for dry brush. We don't need to be like fancy. That'll be fine. Alright, let's get Cork Brown. Actually, oh, here it is. Okay. So one of the things we've wanted to do for a while is we've wanted to do way more of these painting streams, gaming streams, and we want to try to show you guys. I mean, I know a lot of you do your own hobby stuff, but it's also nice to be able to have like a community of other people doing the same kind of thing. And we don't always get that, you know, depending on what else is going on in life. So especially right now with the vid, it makes it a little bit more difficult in a lot of ways. But if you guys do have any questions about Revelations, about anything else going on, ask, and I don't want it to be more of a, hey, let's watch Kovac or let's watch Rick paint, but I want it to be more of like community time, so like we can discuss things or everything else going on and share what projects you guys are working on. Make sure this is... Nope. I keep forgetting my head's there. You know what I could do to make this easier for everybody? I can see if that'll move my head here in a second when it finally... Well, there's not the delay. There we go. It did move. Okay, cool. So, as I was saying, you know, it's be a cool community time. It's a cool hangout time. Like, we're basically all doing it together, or if you're working on other projects, or if you're playing games, I don't care. Just trying to have some other elements here as we try to grow this community and other stuff. See, Roger, doing well with searching for someone to custom paint 2 of my Halo 4 Spartan figures, Chief and Spartan Soldier. Ooh! Yeah, I remember I did some custom painting back in the day for Halo stuff. I'm going to be doing a couple of my own figures here soon, so we'll see how those turn out. And then Ghost Knight, I still need to rewatch the Revelation Skirmish you did on your other channel to get a full understanding of the game. I've always, I'm assuming, liked these kinds of games. Oh, you found these games confusing. Revelation Skirmish is, if you never played a miniatures game, it'll take you a little bit to get used to it. And once you understand the thought process of a lot of it, I'm trying to get where you guys can see, I'm sorry. It's a lot of fun. But I'm also very biased because it's my game. So all I'm doing right now, for those that are non-painters, I'm just dry brushing on a lighter brown. So what it will do when it's fully dried, it just gives it a little bit more definition. It doesn't make it so flat. The flock here, the green stuff, that already helps because it's multiple shades of green. Looks like at least 3 different shades. So it already gives it more variety and looks more like actual grass rather than being just one color. And then it just looks like fuzzy paint. I'm sitting in an Xbox party with friends. Yeah, see? And there you go. Eric, just trying to get more free time to get my armies painted. Needed to be less humid here in Central Texas. Yeah. I understand humidity very, very well. From here in Florida. So you have my empathy and my sympathy because humidity sucks. What's funny is I have some family that are from up north, like in Ohio and stuff, and we've been up there for vacations and stuff before in the summer, and they're like, oh, it's so hot. And you're like, no, it's not. It's not even humid out. Like down here in Florida, it's just wet, like in the air. Right now it's not so bad. We have a little bit more of a breeze, but where I'm from, we often don't have very much of a breeze, and it just is gross. So if you can see here on the camera a little bit, you can see the lighter tan here, so that'll just add a little bit more spice to it. And then once we get it all decorated with some gravel, some shrubs that I got here hanging up on the wall, some other stuff, it'll make it look way more lively, more real. I've just found that I'm willing to spend a little bit of extra time getting the base together, because I feel the base really sells the model, makes it fit into whatever setting you're doing, just makes it better. Alright, looks pretty good. I think I only got this one left. Yeah, fuzzy paint could be an alien landscape. It definitely could. It could totally work. But as I was saying, Ghost Knight, yeah, Revelation Skirmish, it's, if you've never played a miniatures game, there's nothing really you can compare it to until you play it, or at least like watch that other video. We're going to do some other tutorial videos and other stuff along the way, but don't pause the stream. But it's not like Monopoly or Risk or any other type of board game. It's its own. Miniature games are a more complicated game, but we purposely designed Revelation Skirmish to not be super complicated, and other gamers will pick up on that, but you'll kind of have to just trust me. So what I need now is I need a nice brush to paint black with. That one will work. So we're going to paint the bases, the edge of the bases, and then those can sit over wherever and dry to their heart's content. Set this here. Start stacking these up so I have space. Let's see. So I found some of the bone or off-whites work well for highlights on rocks and such. Yeah, no, that would definitely work. Roger. Oh, and the weapons for them both. I live in Florida myself. Once I get some money in my pocket, can I shoot you a message to work pricing? Yeah, let's talk about it. Yes, Chris. Yeah, I love Monopoly. Monopoly has a certain place in my gaming life, but it is. I wouldn't want all games to be like Monopoly. No. So all I'm going to use here is some cheaper craft paint, because all I'm doing is just a black around the border. I don't do the rear arc. I'll do that with like white or yellow, depending on how I'm feeling. But as far as the other edge, I do just black. You could do, whatever other color gets you excited. I just feel like black border on miniatures looks the best. When I play other games like Star Wars Legion, I'll paint the edges of the models on the borders, because that way I can tell the difference between the unit. I can say, oh, okay, that's red unit, that's blue, that's green, whatever. But in Revelations, I haven't had to do that. I might do that with my infantry, but right now I've just been doing like a mark. I'll do just like, I'll paint the edge black, and then I'll go back after and do 2 white lines to signal, okay, this is unit 2 kind of deal. This won't take me very long. This is some of the more boring stuff, but it's the finishing touches kind of thing that makes a model done. And then with these out of the way, then we can just do whatever else with the goblin, and where we get. Risk is the closest thing I've ever gotten to playing miniatures before. Yeah, and Risk is going to be more in a national scale, a global scale. That's the word I wanted. While Revelations is going to be more one company of guys that you're commanding, so it's more of like Halo Wars or Command and Conquer, some of those RTS games. Except there's no resource management compared to those. want to make sure I don't accidentally paint the rear arc here and then be all mad at myself. Only got 2 more after this, then we'll move on to the Goblin. Which, as I was mentioning at the very beginning of the stream before I think most of you got here, the Goblin, I posed it myself. I used the digital parts to pose it, which I know for anyone who's a modeler is going to be like, that's not that big of a deal. For me, that's fantastic because I'm not a modeler. So it looks really good to me. All right. Let's see. Comments. Are we going to be getting more world books? I really enjoyed reading those. Yes, we are, Eric. Did you get all 3 of the ones that are out so far? Sanctuary, Bronze, and Tortuga? I am going to be continuing that series here soon. I've been starting to experiment with a new writing style. Not for how the books are going to read when they're done, but in how I write them. And once this Kickstarter gets out of the way, I'll be in a better spot, I think, to be able to do a little bit of writing. I say that now, but I need to clone myself, and then I could do a whole bunch more. Mainly thinking of my Spartan soldier in all black with crimson red accents and silver, and chief with a more grittier design. Yeah, grittier chief is always welcome. Hey, Exequiel, is that how you pronounce it? I know who you are, but that always throws me off. I read it and I'm like, oh yeah. It's my friend from Argentina. And then like when I feel bad. No. The American can't read a word. Will this game be available in the UK? Ghost Knight asks. Well, it technically is and isn't. We are offering the STLs, so like if you have a 3D printer, you can 3D print them yourself, which is going to be the most affordable option. As far as, are we going to be selling these like in local game stores there? Not at this time. Our production model is probably not going to be favorable for a lot of companies because we offer the STLs. We also 3D print them ourselves. Like all the stuff I have, I obviously printed, but we sell them physical models as well. The downside with the United Kingdom right now is that they changed their import taxes. I'm sure you're very well aware, but basically it really hurts us. So as a business on the outside of the country, so we will sell to the United Kingdom, but it has to be like in orders that are like 160 pounds or $200. I think it's somewhere around there, and that's a lot. It's a lot of money, I know, but otherwise we get hit with these huge taxes that, I already pay taxes in my own country. I can't exactly pay taxes in all these other countries as a small little tiny business. Is the mic making me sound like a robot? I hope not. I hope it's not. I sound good on my end. Eric's... Okay, so yes, you did get all 3 of them? Okay, yeah, so we're going to be doing more. Right now I'm getting ready to work on F, which is part of Orca. And then I started laying out what I want to try to do for the rest of the year. There's going to be some more... There's like another Republic world, a Union world, a planet in Orca called Kaladar, which is basically where most of the mercenaries operate out of in Revelations. Because the way the mercenaries work in Revelations is very different than maybe what you've seen in other... Come on, move me over a little bit. Where the mercenaries can work for obviously different countries, but then like nations like the Republic, they just hire mercenaries to kind of just like on an ongoing basis defend this planet or just defend this city, and they kind of stay there for a while. So Kaladar will be a lot of fun. So the 3D printer option is the better option. It depends. I mean, if you have a printer, I would definitely say it's the more affordable option. Now, like this model here that I did today, that we're going to be painting here in a little bit, this is a new model. I printed this on my 4K printer. So the quality is is going to be vastly improved. And this one, I believe, was on my other printers. And it looks good, but the 4K is just amazing. The downside for me as a company is the 3D printer. I sell you the file. I'm never going to get that sale again. But it helps you guys, and hopefully it keeps you excited about Revelation, so you buy other stuff. But we're in a new era where 3D printing is going to change the gaming landscape, and I think companies like Games Workshop, they're in trouble. They make Warhammer 40K, and I think they're going to have a hard time. I know they're battling it right now, but I think they're going to have a hard time consistently resisting this trend of technology. So kind of like the Roman auxiliaries, it's sort of like that. So it'd be like the way the Republic is structured, because I'm still waiting for this to cure. I can feel it's a little tacky still. Is that you have three portions of the Republic. For those who don't know, you've got the outer worlds, the inner worlds, and then you have the ancillary worlds, or interior worlds. I'm sorry, anterior. So basically, the interior worlds are the really big, expensive, wealthy, super highly invested in planets, like where humanity and Revelations came from. And then you've got the inner worlds and the outer worlds. The outer worlds are the borders worlds with all the other nations. So they are where the most of the military is, because they're protecting the border of the Republic. Because in Revelations, basically when you hop, you're hopping through what's called the nth dimension, and you just appear. So it's kind of like an idea, sort of like slip space, but it's instantaneous. But you can only max jump about 7 days. It works through tunnels and other things. It's a little bit better explained in the novels. But you can only jump so far in every hop. So the outer worlds are basically where the other nations can't jump into the inner worlds. The inner worlds are your resource worlds. So you have places that just mine, or they grow food that they ship out to the other planets in the Republic, other stuff like that. So the inner worlds generally don't have very much military presence at all. And so what the Republic does to save money, they go and they hire mercenaries and say, hey, you're going to go here with your big garrison of guys, or you're going to work with a couple of other mercenary groups, and you guys are going to defend this planet from pirates, from insurrection, from rebellion, from riots. And if absolute worst case scenario, you defend it from other nations, but you probably won't ever fight that. So just make sure everybody pays their taxes and does what their jobs are, kind of thing. Well, yeah, for Eric, yeah, so we do offer variants, and that would be something that will continue. We don't want to get to the point where kind of like Battletech, where there's just so many variants of each mech, where it gets just obnoxious. Where you're like, there's 12 different versions of this mech. Why? So in Revelations, we're trying to be a little more intentional, where, you know, so in this case, what we can do is we can release new poses. So now you can have 2 different poses of the Goblin, plus other versions of the Goblin, and then that way it creates variety in your army, and as a company, we still got the sale. It doesn't change anything stats-wise, but it gives you some, you know, because when you got a bunch of these, you want them to look a little different. I don't have a 3D printer. I was just asking because I thought it would be a good question. Okay, yeah. No worries, no worries. So let's go ahead. I think this is still a little bit tacky from the airbrushing, but I think it's good enough. I don't know what happened. I've got 2 different teal. It was from the same pot, I thought, but I didn't... I think I messed up and I didn't mix it the best, so that was my bad. So we're going to try to fix it. Yeah. So let's see. First, let's do some dark gray. Shake that up a little bit. We'll go ahead and start doing that, and then we'll get this with a wet palette. So what I've been doing with the 11th Myriad is that I like to do a light gray, dark gray, which is probably a little harder to see because the dark gray is more of like an accent color. And then we got some other, you know, gunmetal. We've got the tubing here covered for the torso. The eyes are red. Not really eyes, but more of the camera sensors. So yeah, so we got a couple of different things. And then I'll end up dry brushing it probably afterwards to get the teal to come out a little bit better, the emerald. And we'll kind of go from there. So this here is called a wet palette, and I'm still learning how to use it because I haven't had one very long. It's wet, but it's a little difficult. I'm still trying to master it. Kind of mix that there a little bit. I don't even know if I need that much, but we'll use it from dry brushing too on the black later. It's probably way too thin, but we'll fix it if it's not good. See, Revelations movie series. Shh, let's do that. That would be awesome. I would love to do my thing that I would love to do would be a CGI show. Because I feel with the CGI, you can really make sure everything matches. For whatever faults people may have about the Clone Wars series for Star Wars, at least you can say that everything fit with the same art style. You didn't have a situation where you have live action and CGI and it doesn't mesh together. Some of the Transformers movies, the CGI was really garbage, and it shows. And then it pulls you out as the viewer because you're looking at it and you're like, this is trash, man. I don't like this. So I'm going to try using this 3D printed figure stand. I don't really know if I find that it helps me a whole lot because I think I've just gotten used to holding it, but we're going to try it out for the stream. Why not, right? The other thing I've been doing with the 11th Myriad is I have 4 or 5 different goblins painted now. Some of them are different variants, and none of them match. They're all the same paint scheme, colors, but they're all unique. I do different striping, I do different other things to kind of make them stand out and be their own. So I don't want to end up copying any of the others, but whatever. We're just going to go for it. And I'm going to hope that this freaking thing is in focus. Revelations animated or live action trailers. Oh, it's got to be animated. I hope. Let's see. Let's go right there. 3D printers really are great. Kind of wanted to get one, though I literally have no space for it. No, I understand because that is... What is going on? I'm going to have to bring this like all the way like right over my shoulder. Like it's in the shot now. But if it helps... Oh, we might be in business. Nope. I had a different camera I was using the last time I did a painting stream, but that camera kept shutting off every like 12 minutes. So that didn't work. So we needed to do this. All right. So we're going to try this, and you know, it's just like anything else. The painting streams will get better with practice. The unfortunate thing is I can't leave the camera set up because it's literally in the walkway behind me. So I have to pick it up when I'm done. So I really just want to be able to just leave it. I'll try not to sit in the shot. Paint my finger. Now, as much as I wanted to be able to have like rough and ready forces, because I don't, it's going to sound weird. Yeah, I love miniature games. I don't always enjoy painting that much, and I think it's because being a millennial, you just want to be done. You just want to move on to the next cool thing. But this forces you to sit and really focus on it for a while, which I don't mind focusing on things, but there's definitely a level of patience that goes to this. But you know what? When we did the live stream for the game, being able to have my entire company, well, it was only half company, but I have enough forces to do it, that were all painted, it looks so nice together that it actually encourages me to do more. Let's see, what else do we want to do to make gray? Dark gray, anyway, because I want the light gray to be more of the color that really shines, really stands out. You know what we'll do? We can do this gray here. Am I in the shot? No, it's a little bit over here. And then we'll end up coming back and doing light gray on the forearm. And that way it'll have a dark gray and a light gray, and it'll look good when it's done. I will say, as much as I didn't want to pay for it at first because it was expensive, the airbrush that I have is, which I'd have to go out and get it because it's out in the other room, is really nice. And it just starts you off on a different footing because it's so smooth. Because when you paint only by brush, you have to be careful that it doesn't end up being too like if your brush strokes, your brush strokes. The real problem is figuring out where and how to store all the painted minis. That is one of the things too, Chris. Yeah, that is indeed a question, along with thousands still needing to be painted. Oh, I don't even want to talk about my pile of shame that I have. Let's see. Let's do something. I know I haven't done this yet. We're going to paint this ridge right here. Let's see. Kind of. Yeah, let's do that. I don't think I've done dark gray on this crest here on the top yet with any of them. But yeah, my pile of shame when it comes to all the different models I don't have painted, not even counting Revelations. Other games like Battletech or Star Wars Legion is a very big pile of shame. I'm not proud to admit it, but it is. It's the truth. It's just so easy to buy models. It takes so much time to paint models. And some of them, like my Clone Trooper army for Legion, I've been trying to learn how to paint white, and I think I finally figured out a way that I can paint white. And I want to try it soon on Revelations once I do a little bit more practicing. Because painting a white mech has always been like a good paint job, not just like a has always been a thing for me that I've wanted to do. So I want to be able to do that. Just get this real quick. There we go. Yeah, this goblin was printed yesterday, was modeled yesterday, I believe. I think I did it yesterday, or was it 2 days ago? Printed it yesterday, cured it today, got it primed, and now we're painting it. So, boom. Boom. Only like 7 unpainted orc boys? That's so easy. Just spray paint them green and then just flick some paint. Orc boys, and then give them a wash. Just dunk them in normal amounts. Don't drown them. Just dunk them in there aggressively. Probably something else that I should do dark gray, and then we'll move on. Because once I start doing the light, it'll start really standing out. We can get to doing a wash, and that'll be where it really stands out. I don't think there's anything else I want to do yet. I want to wait. Let's do the light. So what I've been using is P3 Iron Hole Gray. I love this gray. This is like my favorite dark gray I've ever used. And then what I use... No, it's not that. It's this one. And then I use white gray. from Vallejo. And this ends up being, I think this is a really nice color because it's not quite white. It's a very light gray. I think it goes really well with this color scheme. And this was one of those color schemes that I kind of, what was I doing? I was, I went to Adobe and they have this like color wheel kind of thing that you can do. And I was messing with it, trying to find some new paint schemes because I don't want to copy everybody else's paint schemes. And people are like, oh, you're just copying. Like, you're copying other well-known colors. So I try to make my own to avoid that because I know that's going to happen one day. People already say I copy my designs off of other things. Like, it's a big difference between copied and inspired by, okay? Very big difference. I have put a dent in mine, and then I look at 3 boxes of Cav miniatures. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and then the Kickstarter from Battletech. Did you get all your stuff in one order, or did you wanted to wait till wave 2? Are we going to see painted guides? Yeah, I think at some point when I feel a little more comfortable. What I'm doing, though, in the Planet books, I don't know if you noticed, for the military, whatever garrison force, I, let's put it like that. I do put the paint scheme, so I do at least do that to try to help out players who want to try to copy. So if you look at Sanctuary, it has the 11th Myriad, and it uses the same scheme. I mean, it is the same scheme because it is that scheme. I'm going to have to do 2 coats of this. No, 2 coats. I hate doing 2 coats. I think I made it too thin. Oh well. That's sacrilege. You got to be willing to do 2 coats. I'm not going to say I'm lazy. I just want to be done. Orange is going to be mad at me in a second when he answers that. Is it weird that Cat came with a Spartan laser, not just a pistol, or maybe... Yeah, from Halo Reach, yeah. I do think that's a little weird that they gave her that. They should have gave her a needle rifle. You just started collecting Warhammer mini. Oh, okay, yeah, that's why your pile of shame's so small. It's easy. Did the silly single shipping, didn't see the fine print on that. Oh, that sucks for the Battletech campaign. Yeah, and then the campaign's been bumped back a whole bunch of times. And then now you're still waiting for it, which sucks. But I heard that the second wave is on the way. I decided not to back the Kickstarter for Battletech, despite being a big Battletech fan. One, because I don't get to play very often. I'm kind of busy, as you can imagine. But then also, I wasn't really sure how that was going to go. I had read some things that Catalyst sometimes had problems fulfilling things. So I was kind of hesitant to put money up, knowing it was going to be at least a year before I saw anything. And money was a little tight on the personal budget. So I waited. And now they've done it and they've knocked it out of the park. I didn't know if they could do it. They did. They freaking did. Alright, let's do something different. I haven't had anybody have... Let's do the whole head this color. Do an inverted paint scheme from all the others. That'll be something to make him stand out more. We can call him Captain Whitehead. I'll go back and touch that up with teal later. But thank you guys very much for being out here tonight. We're trying to get these painting streams and gaming streams going. We're trying to get Revelations some more notice and some more love. It takes a lot of work to grow a business like this because nobody knows who you are. No one yet has a reason to care, just because they don't know you. They don't know the brand. They don't know the universe. They don't know, It's kind of like trying a new ice cream flavor. Not everyone's willing to do that. I personally think, while I am heavily, heavily, heavily biased, Revelations has a lot of room to grow. It's a very more modern outlook on things, and it's a little bit more of a mature universe. Not knocking any other universe. Only saying, like, we're trying to make it feel different. Am I still in the shot? Kind of. When I get my Series 1 white, Mark V, his right arm was loose as hell, so I fixed that today by blue putty in the armhole. Ah, there you go. Second wave should be coming. Bought a bunch of the battle mats. Nice. They did better than Palladium books in their disaster that was the Robotech. Yeah, I heard about that. Like, backers didn't even get fulfilled, right? Like, that Kickstarter just failed. And that was why when I did the pre-orders, because we had to do pre-orders instead of just doing the Kickstarter because of COVID, because COVID just came and crushed everything last year. It was so important to me that with our Kickstarter and then also with our pre-orders that we got done on time, because I always see comments. People are like, yeah, man, you just got to assume every Kickstarter is going to be late. And I'm like, why, though? Why? As players, why do... I get stuff comes up, and because a lot of games are still in, like, early development. But Revelations was basically finished. We just needed money to help us get the last bit over the hill. So it was kind of maybe just different for us. We were in a different place. But it's tough as backers because, you give money and there's no recourse. If they just take your money and just bail, there's nothing you can do. Kickstarter won't let them do it again, but they're gone. They're down the road, man. They're out. Got wave 1 for Palladium. That was 2 years late. Then Palladium, those Alpha Strike Hexless mats are perfect size for Revelations. Yeah, they might be. What size are they? Then the Palladium started their pass the blame game. Yeah, that happens too. When stuff starts going bad, you're just like, hey, well, it's not our fault. The backer don't care. The backer wants their stuff. The backer doesn't care whose problem it is at the end of the day. It's just like, hey, I gave money. I want my ding-dang stuff, man. That is an absolute reasonable request or demand because you gave money. So for our Kickstarter for Revelations that we just finished, we have the money now. We got it from Kickstarter. They paid us. We ordered the acrylic for the tokens. We've been working on the designs for the tokens because some of them are getting a little bit of an update, make them a little bit more defined when they get laser cut. And we're also changing the material that we use. I mean, there's still going to be acrylic material as in the way that they were done. So before we were cutting them, then we had to, spray paint them in batches, peel them. It was just this huge physical headache. So what we're doing now is we've bought acrylic that hopefully it works. We're getting ready to test it. I've already, like I mentioned, I cleaned the laser cutter. Since we moved, we haven't had it set up because I haven't had any projects for it, and now we're going to get it all fired up here in the next few days, maybe even tomorrow. Start cutting tokens, and what we're doing, as I was starting to mention, the tokens now are, when it gets laser cut, it's going to leave a different color. It's not a two-tone, it's just a lighter color, but it'll stand out, so then we don't have to spray paint them. So now we'll still be able to do acrylic tokens, which look sexy on a table, but it won't take us as much time to design or to get them produced. And because it was basically when we made tokens, we were going to lose money on them. That's like how much time was being invested. So, and you can't do that as a business for very long. And we want to be around for years to come. We don't want it to end early. And it's like, yeah, we could do other types of tokens, but we're trying to have that added appeal, because we'll have nice tokens when everyone else is doing like these thick cardstock ones. So it'll be something different. Alright. It's not perfect, but it's at least enough. I gotta let it dry before I come back to it. Most Kickstarters use the Chinese New Year as the biggest and lamest excuse every time. Yeah, and it sucks. But that's why we stress so hard, and I tried to point it out, not in a bad way, but we're doing all of our production, all of our pieces are made in-house in the United States. So anything that happens to China, and last time it was a trade war, last year, and you know, it's like regardless of where you stand on that, as a consumer, the trade war is going to suck, right? It's going to suck. So it's going to just slow down the process for everything and increase prices here and there. It's just not going to be pleasant. So we're doing everything in-house. I mean, one, it's well, if you're from the States, you'd care. It's United States jobs. And then also, we control it, and we don't have to put as much money up, so we're able to move forward with this game. When if we wanted to try to go the way that Battletech or Robotech or others have done it, man, we would need hundreds of thousands of dollars to do all these different types of models, and that's just not feasible. Like, we don't have that size community yet. I would love it if we did, but we're just not there. So to try to put those, because I see games come along for Kickstarter, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna do all our stuff in China, and I'm like, man, that is going to be so much money. You should do 3D printing. You'll actually get your product done, actually get it out there for people to buy and play. Because as a game designer, if nobody's playing my game, I'm just doing it for myself, right? Like, I have to have a community, otherwise it's just me making stuff, which is great. There's nothing wrong with somebody who wants to do that, but it's not a business. Alright. Let's see. What else I want to do? Just, I gotta do some striping somewhere. Maybe I'll... So he's got this arm sticking out. Maybe we'll do some stripes on this arm. Do something a little more muted on the other. 34-inch by 22-inch. That would work for Skirmish, but it wouldn't be the same? Yeah, Luke, I don't know why they don't. It's kind of weird to me. I went on there to buy some stuff to Big Bad Toy Store, and then they didn't really sell anything. I'm like, oh, okay. I will go someplace else. Try to soak that up because I messed that up right there. But yeah, man, we've got all kinds of stuff. Now we're with Revelations. We're working on our third faction, Orca. We've got... The game has been released for about a year now. We're coming up on our year birthday for the game being released. Already. Time goes by so flippin' fast. We got more stuff being developed down the pipe. It's a good time to be a Revelations fan. Just saying. Just saying. You're like, of course you're saying, Rick. Of course you're just saying that. So, now that is... Sorry if I'm out of frame. I'm trying to get this one spot painted because it's This was the first time I printed this model, so it's a little rough. I'll improve the supports a little bit for it. There we go. That way it'll be a little better for, which we're going to make this available here really soon if anyone wants to buy one. Hint, hint, hint. The novels were a good dive into the Revelations universe. It had a lived-in feel, and I liked a lot of the characters. Well, awesome. So I'm actually curious, Eric, which of the novels did you read? I appreciate the compliment, though. Like, that's means a lot as an author, because I don't have any sort of really authentic writing experience. Sorry for going quiet. I want to finish an episode of Clone Wars. Clone Wars, yeah. Go to bed now, so I hope everyone... Alright, see ya, Ghost Knight. Thanks for being here. Ever played the Doom games? I have played... Oh, which one was it? It wasn't the most recent game. It was one before that. I did play that one for a little bit, and I wasn't good at it. So I kind of stopped. I wasn't good at it at all. Which is weird, because I've been playing shooters like for 2 decades, but there's just a difference to Doom. I think I just didn't like the way that some of the mechanics worked. It just wasn't my favorite. So then you realize you're not playing a game, and then you're like, not playing it, you know? And life's too short to be playing games you don't like. Got these 2 dang coats. Blah. I'm going to do 1 coat and it'd be amazing. And then dunk it and wash and it's done. Why do I gotta spend so much time making this look like a work of art? Because that's what you gotta do. Especially when this is gonna be your hero, you gotta make them look a little fancy. At least you should. This is the hard part, is trying to get underneath here. Name 5 things you like and dislike about Clone Wars 2003. 5 things you dislike and like about the modern Clone Wars. So first off, the things I love about the 2003 Clone Wars, the cartoon that was done by, is it Genndy Tartakovsky? I love General Grievous. Shaak Ti became one of my favorite Jedi. Let's see, what else did I like about it? Oh, the over-the-top like Mace Windu fight and Yoda fights on Coruscant. Oh, Captain Fordo, the ARC Troopers. Wow, how could I possibly forget? I'm painting my clone troopers for Star Wars Legion like those guys. Yeah, ARC Troopers. ARC Troopers and Grievous, hands down. Stuff I didn't like, and this is coming from a different era of cartoons, I didn't like, because we watched Star Wars, the movies at the time, they only had the live action, and when people got shot, they fell over and they're dead. And then you watch the Cartoon Network show, they get shot, and they either fall at weird angles, or they, like the battle droids, exploded. And you're like, why in the world would battle droids explode? They don't have nothing explosive in them. But they just burst into dust and disappear. Like you had some skull on in Halo. Didn't care for that. Some of the other stuff, the art style wasn't my favorite. I've seen Samurai Jack plenty of times, but the art style you have to kind of be in the mood for it, and I think it looks fine for armored guys like clones or the droids. But then when it came to like some of the character faces, I just wasn't the best. Other stuff I dislike, Anakin, freaking annoying, but that's also Anakin. Anakin is annoying. I didn't like some of the other, I guess at the time as a kid, I really didn't like some of the subplots that they had going. They made sense as I watched it as an adult, but yeah. As far as the newer Clone Wars, I don't really know if I had too much I didn't like, other than certain themes that they would do. Like when they did like the whole, in the last season, they did the whole stupid Sisters 4-episode nonsense. That was irritating because it was like, that we know this is the last season of this show, and what are they going to give us? They're going to give us 4 episodes on characters we don't freaking care about. That, like, I get it. You could have done in 2 episodes what they accomplished in 4, and it just was irritating. I thought both of the sisters were annoying in different ways, and it just wasn't pleasant. And then they would do other stuff too, like with the droids and the one, what season was it? Season 6? Season 5? Where they had R2 and the other droids, and they were off like doing these weird adventures. And I'm like, I don't care. Go back to the clones. Go back to the Jedi. But I recognize that Clone Wars allegedly is a kid's show, except when you got the shark guy who gets blown up and his severed head floats into the screen, you're like, yeah, this is a kid's show. It's like Clone Wars is almost bipolar. Like it wants to be really childish at sometimes, and then it also wants to be really mature at others. And it's like, can you pick one? You don't have to stay really mature or stay really kidified. But it doesn't make sense to, like, they could switch and they'd be so different. So you had some episodes that were really, like, they were darker, they were grittier, they were more intense. And then you had others where you're just like, is this made for 6-year-olds? I don't understand. That was one of the more irritating things that about Clone Wars, period, that I felt. You know what's also an amazing way to get into the Revelations universe? Buying a Warlord. Yeah, that'll do it. You get all kinds of stuff. You get all sorts of goodies. Tokens galore, and dice and cards, and you get to name a character. Playable character. We still have that up on the website. I didn't want to make just buying a playable character like a thing because I feel like that kind of cheapens it. We'll do some other promotions at some point, I'm sure. We're going to have 5 new playable characters because there were 5 people in the last Kickstarter who selected to do that. So that'll be cool. I wanted to so bad to do that as a fan of Battletech. I wanted to do in the Kickstarter where they let you name a character, and then they ended up having so many people do it that now you're just going to be a name on a list or something else. Like when I was looking at the campaign for that, I mean, the number of people who supported it was so small, and then just watching it explode. And you're like, oh, there's so many people. It's good for them. It's good for the company. It's just, it sucks as a player because now you're not going to get really named, like, though, in an effective name unless you paid way more money. Let's see, the Jedi going Gitmo on Cad Bane especially stands out. Yeah, do it. Yeah, just freaking mind melting him with 3 Jedi. 3 of the most powerful Jedi, just melting his brain. That was nuts. Let's see. What is your favorite aspect of the Halo games? The campaign, multiplayer, or the overall lore? I got into it for the campaign, for the universe. I stay for the multiplayer, so it's kind of both. Now that I don't have as much time to play video games, I'd say the campaign weighs a little bit more on me than it used to, so it's a little more important. But yeah, it's in my opinion, they go hand in hand. The novel I read was the one with the captain going pirate and going up against an inquisitor. Okay, so you read Kingdom of Sand Book 1. So we have Book 2 out. Book 3 is out, but I'm going to edit it and make it updated. And then that'll be available on the website as well. And then I'm going to be working on book 4, 5, and 6. And we also have 2 other novels, Spectre and Rise of the Inquisitor. But Kingdom of Sand, I really enjoyed writing that. It's very... It's told more from the perspective of like regular people. So hopefully that stood out the way that I wanted it to. But I really enjoyed it. All right, let's do this circle here. And being able to go back and write some more about Mikhail will be good, because what we're doing with Revelations, we're kind of doing sort of like what Marvel did when they got started with the movies anyway, where they developed a couple of primary characters and then they brought them all together. So not always is the main character in any one story going to be a main character. Some of them will be heroes, some will be villains in their own right. But we're doing it to kind of establish things before we get into the main plot. It's like when you look at the difference between, for example, Marvel and Star Wars, you know, you just got a big difference in, like, Star Wars just jumped right into the main plot. 2 different styles of business, but they jumped right into the main plot, then tried to build it out with side stories and video games and books and other things, while Marvel, they already, you know, they end up assembling the Avengers and such, but they still had plenty of time to do just a Captain America, just a Thor, just the Hulk, just Iron Man, and then develop them completely and then bring them together. And then obviously there's different versions of that, but, you know, yeah. Favorite moment of modern Clone Wars, the 212th Battalion versus the 501st Legion in the Umbra storyline. That was messed up. Yeah, where the clones started fighting each other. Yeah, that was messed up. But it felt more real. What was it Krell? Pong Krell? Was that the Jedi that wanted to become a Sith and work with Dooku, the forearm guy? Guy was such a jerk. And he had no use for the clones. Like, their lives didn't matter. It was just weird. Did I just touch that? No. It's just a reflection. Welcome to Haven. Don't get ahead of yourself. Yeah, Haven would be an interesting place to live in real life. Be a very weird place, but you can get away with a lot of things. But the way that the different clans run things, you know, they still have the king, but each of the clans have to pay tribute and all these other things. So there's a lot going on in their inner working political structure. Do a second coat on this side for this. So as you can see, there's more. Oops, you could see if I had it in frame. There's more of the difference going on. I'm not really sure how I feel about the head. I think the head will come together once it's washed and the eyes are painted. This is always the part that I hate the most about painting, because I feel like it looks like garbage. And then it can end looking like this. You know, it's awesome, it's sexy, it looks great on the table. But right now, you look at it, you're just like, you're disgusting. You make me sick. It's so mean, but it's just, yeah, it's weird. Then you have to go back and touch things up because some of the stuff you did looks terrible. I'm also very, very critical of myself. There was this one guy that was painting mechs. I was complimenting him, and he's like, man, I don't know. Basically, he was saying that his stuff doesn't look good, but to me, it looked amazing. Very clean, because he was going for a very clean style. It just looks so good. And I look at my stuff and I'm like, why aren't you a better painter? Okay, so it was Pong Krill. I was right. He was purposely throwing away the lives of the clones. Yeah. The modern Clone Wars, I liked how they tried to show the war of a broad front, but then they were to be more worried about Ahsoka. And yeah. Clone Wars novels by Travis and others were good. I would say better than the show. Wow. I only read one Star Wars novel, I believe. Maybe two. The Umbara arc was so good, though. I wish the clones had developed reasons to be suspicious of the Jedi, and they would end up doing with the inhibitor chips. Yeah, Umbara would have been a great step. Yeah, Star Wars, it's basically because it's so developed, but like even as I've understood it, the Episode 3 movie takes place over a longer period of time than the implication is in the movie. Like, in the movie, you feel like it's just kind of just jumping. Like, you feel like it might be a couple of different days because there's daylight and night and stuff. But you really kind of feel like, okay, it kind of is relatively the same couple of days. And you're like, what do you mean this is taking place over weeks? So it's weird. And then when they try to do the Clone Wars, they try to explain things like, okay, this is why this happened this way. And you're like, okay, but why? Why would you do that? I don't mind the chip so much as just like the personality of the clones and then it would override them. But they weren't robotic. They were like people. But then when I don't know, the chips just didn't make sense. They weren't really developed enough to be like, oh, the chips affect their mood, or the chips, I don't know, like there should have been more instances of the clones being like more or less possessed and like forced to do something, even if they didn't want to do it, just so that you could be like, oh, I see it. That's the thing they're gonna do. They're gonna do it. I see it. They're gonna do it. All right, so now we need to do some striping. What do we want to do? What are we going to do? We're going to do some striping here. Okay, the striping takes a little bit of... I feel like they could have started with Attack of the Clones and then used Episode 2 and 3 to flesh out the war. Yeah, I mean, it's just... There's only so much they can do, and then they have their own restrictions because of Disney or something else, and you're like, okay, I get it, but... I don't know. Some of the decisions were just kind of silly. But, like, they didn't need to be, kind of deal. The novels had a better take on things, it being their training and brainwashing. See, and then that would have made it feel more maybe natural. Why is this so thin? I think it's separated. Oh, it did! You separated on me. Oof! Smacked myself in the face. I preferred the internal conflict dialogue that the books... Yeah, and then all that gave... Yeah, it would make it feel more real because you could read it rather than just trying to see it on Rex's face as he's trying to resist blasting Ahsoka right in the face. Even though she wasn't a Jedi, she just got done saying, I'm not a Jedi. I feel like the inhibitor chips make more sense than the clones suspecting their friends and generals of being traitors. It makes things more tragic, like Rex. That's why I was saying, like, the chips, I'm okay with the idea of the chips, just maybe not the way that they sold it to us as viewers. Where it just had more of an impact on them. Or what if the Jedi knew about the chip more than they did in the show, and it was used differently? Like maybe there would be times that clones would like mouth off or something, and they could just make them be obedient. maybe some of the Jedi knew about it and they would abuse it. And then, I don't know, that would have been cool too, to make the Jedi shown that they're darker. The thing that is bad about Star Wars, in my opinion, they do too much to make the light side absolute good and the dark side absolute evil. When in real life, there would be a lot more gray there. There would be people who are very white or very black, good or evil, but they would be the outsiders, while most in between would be varying shades of that. And that's what I'm trying to do with Revelations, is make it so that these characters feel like, based on perspective, oh, that's a hero, but that's only because you think he's good and you're from his faction, when other people that live in this other nation think he's a bastard and he's doing evil things to people. But he's protecting your people, but he throws all of our people away to do that. When you learn that, and it could be at this point, it could be non-canon, but that battle droids are basically sentient. Like, if given enough time, they become sentient. What that means is the Jedi are just slaughtering them by the hundreds and the thousands. They're killing a sentient being. In Star Wars, you can make the argument that the sentience can be for machines. In the real world, you can say, well, they're not natural, they don't have a soul, whatever you want to apply to it. But as far as Star Wars logic, that makes the Jedi kind of evil if they're killing a whole bunch of sentient creatures that are basically innocent. They're programmed this way to be like this, kind of like the clones, and they just slaughter them and then want to preach to you about how life is precious and everything. It's like, well, yeah, life is precious to you when it meets the standards that you've set, kind of deal. I just feel that Star Wars, like, they don't want to show a normal person as a stormtrooper, or show they'll show some bad Jedi, but Jedi by and large, no, they're all good, they're all righteous. But would they at the fall? Like, they're even Yoda fell to too much pride. So why is it that Jedi were seen as good when really they probably should have been seen more, kind of like, as much as I loathe it, the two sisters plot, where they show how the Jedi had fallen and how the average person, depending on where you're from, didn't think highly of the Jedi at all. See, they had the contingency orders, aka Order 66, that they were trained and programmed to obey. Yeah, they didn't need an extra outside element like the chip. I guess they could just say it and they just knew, but... they do say that at both sides said here. Well, I mean, I don't know. They always want to portray, at least in and granted, the book will be different. In the cartoon... or not the cartoon, the animated show, they never want to really show any separatists as being good. Like, they're absolutely bad. When most of the separatists, when you look at their political stance, you're like, the Republic is falling apart. It's oppressive, depending on your point of view. Why can't we be our own independent planet? Why can't we do what we want? We're whatever race. We don't want to be part of the Republic. The Republic's like, no, you're going to stay. It's nice here. Here's my gun. You're going to stay. Let's try this. I'm trying something different here, guys, where I've done the striping on other units. It was like a zigzag, and here I'm trying to do, like, it's slanted on the side, but then when it gets to the front, it's straight. We'll see. It may not... I guess absolute worst case scenario, I could just start it over and just airbrush it again. I don't want to do that. Or Anakin having no qualms about leading a slave army when his whole reason for going to the Jedi was to free the slaves. Exactly, Chris! Exactly! Anakin doesn't know what he wants to be. There were some stories in the comics that showed stormtroopers as human and having issues. Well, that's good. But those have all been retconned, I imagine, from Disney. The whole concept of the droid army was intended to be a humane effort, though the sentience was unintended to my knowledge. I'm not sure. It was just more of like something that someone was talking about, how there was like this one battle droid that was the most intelligent battle droid, and it basically just somehow survived, and it just was intelligent. and then it ended up still getting slaughtered, I believe. And it's very sad. But Star Wars allows for a lot of room for creativity. It just seems like it just doesn't do it so well. I think at this point, Star Wars is one of those things that's so big. I'm off screen, sorry. Is that we all have like ideas of what it should be. Like, I'm going to make it, if I had the, if I was Kathleen Kennedy, I would make Star Wars way more mature, way more good and evil, but mixed. Like, where there's good and evil on both sides, and you show why the bad guys are bad, why the good guys are good, kind of thing. And not just because, I just want to help people. Well, yeah, but why do you want to help people? Like, I felt like Anakin, like, they were setting him up properly in the movies, where they, like, okay, this is his mother. He's too old to be able to be sort of a Jedi, but they still take him because Obi-Wan gives him an ultimatum. And then Qui-Gon could have been this fantastic father figure, and instead he gets Obi-Wan, who's more like a brother. And when you think about raising a man, there's going to be a very big difference if you're raised by an older brother versus if you're raised by a father figure. It's just going to be a very different thing. Especially when we look at the way that the world is, especially the United States, I feel like, yes, motherhood is super important to the development of a child, but we have so many fathers that are not involved in the picture, and it's destroying our country. It's really messing things up. And then to watch it in Star Wars, and you kind of start applying some of that a little bit. I don't know how much intentional it was, but I sort of see a little bit of that there, of like what Qui-Gon would have been for Anakin. It would have added way more just natural order of things versus Obi-Wan doing the best he can. And Obi-Wan is my favorite character in all of Star Wars, so it's not to knock him. It's just that he wasn't maybe equipped for that, They both were mourning when he took on Anakin, and they don't show it in the movies what happens, but yeah. I'll echo Eric and recommend Karen Travis Clone Commando books. I think you'll love the stance she takes on the Jedi. If I get some time, I might give them a look. Depicting their ideals and practice and the realities of their hypocrisy. And that would actually be way more up my alley, because what the Jedi preach and what they go around saying and then what they end up doing in application are not always the same thing. I'm glad some authors were able to give light to that. And then Disney's like, no extended universe for you. Buy my books. You don't buy old books, you buy new books. We have new characters, very good characters. They're like, I don't want Finn. I don't want Poe. Let's make Luke Skywalker try to harm children in their sleep because they have bad thoughts. That's definitely like Luke. What a crazy... Just like his dad, right? Just like his dad. Shame that she and Filoni had disagreements over the material. There's always going to be that when you got that many creative people involved in things. My intention, for example, because I'm going to keep bringing it back to my stuff because that's why I'm here, with Revelations, is that I'll be involved in things as creatively as I can, and then one day we'll have other authors, we'll have other people involved in the process, which is what I want. I don't want to do everything myself forever. It's just too much to do. But then still try to make sure the integrity of the universe is continued. Because as a fan, I've watched Star Wars very closely, and then I see things where you can tell George Lucas is really pained by what's happened, because, I mean, it's his creative baby, right? And then he sells it to who he calls, what do he call them? There was some term he used that was really offensive. And it's like, well, bro, you sold it to him. Can't really be upset. They gave you a big old bag of money. So you're just going to have to just live with your decision, even if you don't like it. don't sell stuff if you want to retain creative control. I don't care what Kathleen Kennedy or what any of the other Disney executives told you. When you release it, you've released it. That's it. You don't got control, man. It would have been good having Dooku on the council in episode 1. That would have been a really cool tie-in. It would have. Even if he was just there in the background, it just would have been cool. Very good characters. They say it's 50,000 Rose Ticos and Admiral Holdo's line the shelves. Yeah. You're like, come on, guys. Don't you want to see the new characters? Rose Tico? Admiral, gender studies. Oh my gosh, Holdo was so annoying. I'm not going to tell you things because you're a very aggressive pilot. He's the best pilot you have. If you tell him, he'll help you. And you don't have to give him everything, but it makes no sense from a military standpoint. It doesn't make sense in a business, right? I haven't been in the military, but I've been a manager in a business. And if I tell my team, hey guys, we're going to go do this thing, okay? Or they're like, hey, what are we going to do to fix this problem? And I'm like, I got a plan. Okay, so tell us. No, I'll tell you when I have to or when the time's right. Like, you're not going to get buy-in from your team that way. So why in the world would a military officer, an admiral, do that? Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. Yes, that is what he said, Luke. That's right. I love the stuff that the Dark Horse writers did with Kashyyyk. I don't know who that is. Faye? Faye is one of my faves. I don't know that one. The writers for Dark Horse had a passion for the material, and that's what really matters. Yeah, you have to tell stories that people want to buy. Like, that matters, but you have to have writers who care a lot about the universe first. People like Rian Johnson had no idea how military worked. Exactly. And when we find out later, Disney had no freaking plan for the trilogy. How does Disney, with their Goliath-sized amount of money, walk up to a brand like Star Wars and say, we don't need a plan for a trilogy? It's a freaking trilogy. What do you mean you don't have a plan? It blows my mind how people can be so stupid and have so much money. Same thing with Battletech. Jordan Wiseman broke up the rights and sold it to tons of different people, and now it can't be easily reassembled. Exactly. He sold it all to Microsoft, and then ended up to Topps and end up having it now. And it'd be too, like, there's been all these Battletech fans saying, hey, we want to do a movie. Hey, it would be awesome to do a series. We could do Netflix series, all these other subscription services. You can't do that. One, because Battletech wouldn't really work nowadays, even though it's always been a very diverse universe. It's always had strong females. It's always had a very diverse population. It's never been like a white guy thing. When you look at the characters and their ethnicities, but I don't think it would, if it got made now and was end up being too woke, it just wouldn't be Battletech. It would suck. I think it should have been Akbar, but having a character named Akbar Suicide Ram ship probably wouldn't go over too well. Now I thought about that too, Chris, but they could have done other things. The fact that they did that with the ship, they rammed it into the First Order, doesn't make any sense because, and they're like, it's a 1 in a million shot. Then go and make a whole bunch of astromechs, get them in X-Wings, and just send 1 million of them. Send 2 million of them. It'll end up working again. It's crazy to be like, you could get junk ships, just anything with a hyperdrive, and you're just like, we're just going to launch it with an astromech. The fact that they did that in the movie just opened the door to so much other complaints of people being like, well, why didn't you do this before? If it's just... And she did it like she knew what she was doing. She didn't do this being like, oh, I hope this works. It's a 1 in a million chance. She felt pretty confident because she had a one-liner. I don't remember what it was. It would have been way better if it was Admiral Akbar. That would have been... If he would have called them and said, it's a trap or something like that, it may have redeemed the movie. As bad as it was, and The Last Jedi is trash, I may have been like, that was cool. I think the reasoning was because Leia's last actions before being incapacitated was because she demoted him and stated that he lost her trust or something. I personally have a soft spot, though, for... the sequel, I didn't like episode 7 because episode 7 was just a remake of 4, and I was saying that the moment I walked out of the movie theater. It wasn't like something I picked up later. You're like, okay, there's enough new stuff here. Fine. All right, whatever. The Last Jedi, though, and then the last movie, The Rise of Skywalker, they weren't good movies. There were parts that were decent. The visuals of it were nice. I mean, Disney's got a lot of money. They made the visuals look good. But the plot didn't make any sense. The fact that when Leia dies, was it Maz Kanata comes over and gives Chewie the medal? And you're like, was she holding on to this for years and years, waiting to give this to Chewie, and she just couldn't bring herself to do it? I know they had to kind of work with, because, you know, what do? They kill Luke in episode 8, and then Carrie Fisher dies in real life, so they have to kind of make do. But it would have been better, I think, to, like, kill her off screen or kill her like really early in the movie, so that way it didn't feel cheap. And instead we get her in episode 9 and she doesn't do anything really that great. Her lines don't really make sense. Her effect on the movie doesn't really make sense. She doesn't really do much. She kind of just, and then she just lays there, and then when she dies, she's just a flat sheet. I'm like, come on, that doesn't make any sense. Their true names are Ruin Johnson and Jar Jar Abrams. The commander withholding the plan from all the officers won't happen in any military. Not how command works. Exactly. Especially when you're in a life or death situation. Like, you're being blown up one by one by one as far as your ships go. And your people are dying. And then you're going to be like, yo, everyone, I know you don't know me. I know I just got here. I know I'm not known. I'm not even famous, so you can't even be like, you've heard of me. I have a plan. We just all need to sit and wait until it's here. It doesn't make any sense. And even to pull Poe aside and say, I think there's a spy here. We have something going on. It just doesn't make any sense. It frustrates me. Can you see the striping? Can you see it on there yet? Yeah, I guess it is pretty vibrant. So I think I'm going to go ahead and try to do something here with the right arm. I just don't know what I want to do. We could do a line all the way around it. Actually, we could do 2. That would be something different. I haven't done like a straight line. But yeah, Star Wars has a lot of problems, and a lot of it is not budget, it's not cast, it comes down to just the leadership on the business side. They won't give enough to Filoni. I know they've given him some more. They won't give enough to Favreau. I know they've, with Mandalorian being successful, but even Mandalorian isn't that wonderful, in my opinion. I'm not a fan of spaghetti westerns, as they call them, where it's like, what's the threat of the day? What's the problem today? They're going to solve it. I like build-up. I like things being carried over, but that's my preference. So, like, I can enjoy Mandalorian, although currently I'm not subscribed to Disney Plus because what happened to Gina Carano. Regardless of how you feel about her, it's irritating how all these groups are now getting way, way too much power. In this country, we still have the freedom of speech. I don't even care. Like, if they end up, that's one good thing about having your own business, too, is, and I try to stay out of all the political stuff, because I have my own opinions. I'm not an idiot. I pay attention. But I don't, there's lag? But, it's still irritating. Is there still lag? I hope there's not. Because on my end, everything looks good. Because you got... It's coming, Chris. I know you got the You did it on Kickstarter. You don't have a printer yet, right? Do you have one? I can't remember. Okay, it's good on your end? Okay, good. Alright, so maybe it's just Eric himself. Or there was lag and then it got fixed. You start going in a tangent, you're not paying attention, you're off doing something else. I think that's going to look good. You know what I need to do? I need to post in here really quick while thinking about it. One quick second. You can see on the top of my head. Need to... Where is it at? There it is. All right, for those of you who are not on our Discord and have Discord and want to be part of the Revelations community, Discord is a fantastic way. That's the link to be able to go join the Discord. I'm way more active there than I am on any other social media platform because I'm able to have a lot more direct connection with you guys rather than like Facebook. Like I gotta hope that they show my post. It drives me up a wall. Facebook drives me crazy. All right, so I've got an FDM. I run the one at work and get set remainder of resin cartridges we just send out for hobby stuff. Oh, okay. Yeah, so you still have access to a printer. That's at the end of the day what matters. That looks different. I don't hate this paint scheme, but I'm upset that it doesn't match. I'm going to try to figure out how to make it match later. Are the feet the same size? Yeah, I think it's the same scale. Whenever I do parts, I have to adjust the scale a little bit from the files that I got from the modeler. So I had to make sure that they were the right size. I think I'm going to kind of leave him. I might do a little bit more gray. I don't mind him not being quite as flashy as some of the others. Just because he may not need it, you know? Not all of them need to be as stripey and everything. I'm going to check over here. Ew. Don't paint my I don't want to paint my microphone. We'll just do direct out of the pot. We'll be a madman. Don't do it, Rick. It's dangerous. Danger's my middle name. Not really. But as far as you're concerned... Am I off screen? No, I'm on screen. Yay! Yeah, Facebook. I don't get in trouble with Facebook. I know certain people, Eric. I know some people do. I don't get in trouble with them. I keep my opinions to myself when I'm on there because it's... Oh! The glue came undone. It doesn't really matter what I think as far as what Facebook's concerned. They have their own agenda. They have their own viewpoint. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah, he's going to get a wash. And it'll re-glue him back on. I'm not putting too much glue, obviously, because I just need him to stay long enough for me to finish what I'm doing. I don't really need him to stay on here forever. Oh, I need to put the cap back on the glue. I don't want my glue to get messed up. That wouldn't be good. All right. Try to finish this. Oh, the glue. Come on. Ah, it's too new. Break right off. Come on. Alright, I'll give that a minute to just sit there. So I need to be able to rotate it around. If I can't, then I'm all messed up. I don't have a white over there. I'll use this. I'll end up painting the back of the base. That'll be for the goblin here. While we're waiting. You know what? Whoops. I picked the same song. Alright, there we go. Something a little different. I'll have to end up getting some stuff set up. Some other streamers I've seen, like Thunderhead. Man, he's got such... His stream is down to like a science, man. The way he's got his stuff set up. But granted, he also does Twitch. I don't really want to do Twitch. I feel like YouTube will be a lot better. I'm able to have videos and other content here. It just makes sense to kind of try to drive everyone to Discord and then to YouTube rather than send them all off over the rest of creation. Alright, so while we're waiting for the glue to dry on the goblin feet, let's move on to painting the back of the base here. Get my announcer voice. We're gonna paint the back of the base. We could use this one. So for those of you who are miniature painters, what project is on your table? Even if you're not doing it this second, what is the current project that you will be working on when you get some free time? For me, outside of this stuff here with Revelations, I mentioned earlier I'm trying to paint my clone army for Star Wars Legion. Trying to paint them in that 2003 scheme where I've got the ARC troopers, so the super vibrant blue, the super vibrant red, and then like the really clean white. I really like how their armor looks, so I'm gonna go with that as my theme. And since that literally took me no time at all to paint, let's go ahead and paint a different one. Because I don't know if that glue's done drying. I kept breaking it off. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. app. Reason I asked about the novels is because I'm currently reading some novels by Nick Cole and Jason Anspach called Galaxy's Edge series, and these guys rock. Very lush hair. Thank you. It's kind of my vid hair, kind of, but it's also more of just an excuse, so I just need to get it cut. We've been, for the last couple of years, my wife's been cutting my hair, and I put it off until she can't stand it anymore. Because, I don't know, there's something about getting my hair cut. I've never enjoyed it. It's such a weird thing. Like, I'll shave. I'll get cleaned up. I'll shave, and I keep the... Once I left Chick-fil-A, I keep the goatee beard. Mainly because I can't grow a full beard. It's very patchy. It's not quite as nice as Keanu Reeves. I don't know. Getting my hair cut is kind of like going to the dentist. It's one of those things like, you need to do this, but I don't wanna. It's just such a waste of time kind of deal. It's probably a terrible outlook on it, but I got so many other things I want to be doing that I don't want to spend time, because it ends up taking so much time. It's not like 10 minutes and you're out. You gotta go there and you gotta wait for whatever patient's ahead of you because the doctor or the hairstylist are behind, or I don't know. I mean, I guess you could do walk-ins with a haircut place versus dentist, but what in the world? There is a hair in the glue. Gone now. Right in the right in the flock. All right, there we go. All right, Roger, no worries. My Terran Guard units for my Battletech Alt Universe group. That sounds fun. As somebody who's had a ton of needed work done this year, putting it off isn't worth it. I know. I just went to the dentist for the first time in a long time the other day. Thankfully, I already knew I had a couple of cavities, but I only think I got one new one, so I got to deal with 3 of them now. But it's not like I want to put it off. It's just, it's so boring. I don't want to do it. And when you're an adult, you don't want to do something, and there's not a big emergency. Sometimes you just put it off. It's not a good habit. I'll do plenty of other things, but it's just getting a haircut, going to the dentist. I don't know what it is with those. They're not fun. I don't think they're fun for anybody. I rarely ever go to the doctor because I don't really ever need it. So I don't really go to, like, anything else. All right, that's good enough. Now we can get back to painting this. Yeah, it does suck. And when people are like try to guilt you, like, well, you gotta make sure you gotta. When you go to the dentist, you get guilted. They're like, hey man, you need to make sure you floss. I do floss. I do brush my teeth. I don't know why it looks like I don't, but I do. As a kid, that always used to drive me crazy because I'd go to the dentist and they're like, you need to floss more. I'm like, like there was a point I was making sure because I wanted to test them. So I made sure I flossed. Like daily. I was brushing daily. Like I was on top of it. There was no slacking. And then they were still giving me grief. Like, you're not flossing enough. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm flossing. I don't know what to tell you. And I think sometimes, like, and then when you're an adult, you're just like, I don't want to deal with the hassle. I don't want to hear the the nagging when I know I'm doing what I need to do, because I'm not going to get freaking dental disease if I can prevent it, right? It's definitely a first world gripe. There's people around the world that don't even have access to dentists, and I'm over here like, yeah, I don't want to go to the dentist. I understand the hypocrisy. I get it. Maybe not hypocrisy, but the silliness of it. You know what I haven't done? I have not painted all 3 toes. Let's do that. That'll be something different. Which characters are we going to see more of as things move forward? Well, with Revelations, we still got at least 3 more books for Kingdom of Sand, so Mikhail will still be there. If you read I don't want to spoil it because you haven't read the novel, so I won't talk about any of the characters in the novels. As far as some of the stuff that we read about in some of the Across the Verse, the Planet books, Abigail Black is going to be an important character. She is the king. Yes, she. She purposely wanted to make sure she retained the rank of king and not queen because her father was mistreated. He was a previous king. One of the other clans, the clans that had been, I can't remember the name of it because I haven't touched the Haven stuff in a little while. The biggest clan was in charge for like hundreds of cycles, and then they lost it to Abigail's father, who then ended up getting killed in kind of a shady way. He died. So now when she fought for and got control of Haven, which is part of Orca, she's like, no, you're going to call me king. So she's going to be a really cool character because she's just badass, and she's there's nothing woke about the women in Revelations. If they're a strong woman, it's because she's just badass. You know, like nobody had to tell Ripley from Alien or Princess Leia. That's another big one that we point to a lot. Nobody had to tell Princess Leia, oh, you're cool just because of who you are. No, she just was. So that's what I try to do with the female characters also is in Revelations there's a female character, Eva. She's pretty important to Rise of the Inquisitor. And she's just a well-equipped, well-trained, as you discover with other things about her. And she just is. There's multiple Keepers of the Republic, which when you read some of the other novels, it talks about the Keepers. There's several of them that are women, and I wouldn't want to fight them. not even if they took the armor off. Like if they just fought me like in plain clothes, I wouldn't want to. My newish dentist tests my gum levels and gives me a metrics on how I'm doing and how I can improve gum health. Really enlightening. After several others who tell you right, yeah, no, exactly. You can make adjustments in your dentistry and in your dental health by knowing what to do. And actually, the dentist I went to a couple days ago, he was the first dentist who's ever said, "You have pretty good teeth." Usually they tell me about how, your teeth are stained or and I don't smoke. Actually, when I was younger, I only drank water. I only ever drank water. And I would always get told that, like, your teeth are stained. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't drink soda. I don't drink coffee. I don't smoke. I don't do chewing tobacco. I don't do anything that normally stains your teeth. And I had yellowish teeth. They weren't, like, gross yellow, like Austin Powers. But they just had a yellowish tint to them. It's just apparently how it's going to be. But they try to make it like this big deal, like I'm not taking care of my teeth. Like, well, I don't know what to tell you. It's just how it is. But it's always nicer when they can give you tips and things that you can do to actually make improvements and not just floss more. Well, what am I getting wrong? That kind of thing. Ripley's just a working stiff like the rest of the crew. Right. And nobody had a... She just had potential that she was able to use to be cool. You know, she didn't have to... she didn't have all these other requirements, I guess you could say. And she wasn't strong just because they're like, oh, she's a woman. They're like, no, she just is cool. It has nothing to do with her gender. It has everything to do with just her as a person. She's just very resilient. She's very tough. She's gonna keep fighting. And at the end of the day, she has a little bit of plot armor because that's how she manages to get out of some of these scenarios. But you never feel like there's so much, because there has to be some, because that's how the main character sometimes survives. But there's not so much that you feel like she's broke. Like, you look at Captain Marvel. I never saw Captain Marvel, the movie, because I all the reviews I saw about it, I know it's not going to be a movie for me. But when you see her in the Avengers, in Endgame, she's like massively OP, coming out of nowhere. It's like, where were you when New York was being attacked? Oh, there's other planets you got to defend. That seems kind of lazy writing. And now they've got the Eternals coming out. It's like, how are they going to explain these immortal beings living on Earth not getting involved when half the universe is going to be wiped out? You're like, oh, guys, we missed that. We were eating dinner. And you're like, okay, so when Thanos snapped, did he not erase half of them? And if he didn't erase half of them, maybe not half, but any of them, because it's always weird whenever they say he wiped away half of life. It wasn't half of life on Earth or on each planet. It was half of all life. So you would think, statistically, some planets would have way more life wiped out, and then others would have very little, just because of how random chance. It wasn't as specific as each planet will lose half. Well, then even that half is that when you count humans, animals, insects, bacteria, plants would count, right? Plants are life. And they never got that super... It's Marvel. I'm not going to expect them to get into the nitty-gritty details of everything. It's just asking a little too much. Just trying to look for a couple other spots to paint, because these guys, they get a little bit more of a unique paint scheme. So yeah, let's do this box. I wanted to put some gray on the machine gun here, and I didn't know what to do, so we'll go with this. Well, hopefully you guys are enjoying us hanging out a little bit, because I'm watching the numbers for the stream and they keep slowly dropping. So hopefully this isn't just boring or driving you guys nuts. And I've been trying to experiment with painting streams for a while, just because I thought they would be a good way to, like I said, like hang out. And I mean, how many times you get to have opportunities like this for me to hang out with the community, for you guys to hang out with somebody that's doing what I'm doing. Like it ends up being pretty cool for both of us, because as this grows more and more, it's cool for me, because I can't grow this without you guys, because without a community, it's just me being a hobbyist. All right. Getting down there. Well, that's awesome, Roger. I'm glad you're enjoying it, because I start getting really in my own head, where you start being like, I don't know if people like it because if people are leaving. I'm very overly critical of myself. I know a lot of people are critical of themselves, but I'm Maybe not to a new level of being critical of yourself, but I'm very critical. Sorry if that kind of went out of focus there. I'm trying to get these arms done really quick just so that it... Okay, now this side. Enjoying the stream on the side, watching the Stanley Cup playoffs. Nice. Partaking in the passionate nerd banter has been fun. Yeah. And that's one of the cool things, at least for me, that I get an outlet, because when I go down to my local game store and I play Star Wars Legion, I'm able to have these kind of conversations with people when, like, in my day-to-day, I don't get to, right? Like, I don't have... I can't really do it, like, these conversations with my wife very much, because she doesn't... she's not as... she's more of a normie. Not in the bad way. Not in a bad way at all. I love her to death, but she's not a nerd. She's not into nerdy things very much. The good thing is she will watch a lot of the stuff with me, and she'll talk about Revelation. She's actually read my novels, so she helps me to get the female perspective, because I try as I might, whatever I can never read from a woman's perspective, right? So it helps having someone willing to read my material to make sure stuff isn't dreadfully boring or any of that. And actually, she helped me to, and a couple of other women that were reading my books, to help me to kind of style it in a way that women would enjoy it. And obviously, as a man, I still write it so that men enjoy it, but I kind of dialed back a little bit of the nittier gritty stuff of the combat, and I made it a lot more fluid and more... I tried to make it more like it would be like in a movie, and I think it does pretty well. And she enjoys it more now, so I guess it worked a little bit, at least in that regard. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start moving on to start doing some more of the detail stuff. So we're going to start doing some of the black, start breaking up some of this emerald color and not make it look so blended in together. And it'll start really making the mech come alive a lot more, because it'll be more... kind of reaching more of that finished state. It's not anywhere near finished, but every time you add more colors, it just starts to make it look more real. It has to be proper colors. Just start adding pink to a teal just because, like, if that's your paint scheme, whatever. You should just start adding, being all loose with your colors. My head's in the way. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying. Funny, I found my Halo 4 McFarlane Spartan polymer figure, which was just the repaint of the original Series 2 Rust Spartans. I have a plan for the universe. Oh, you have a plan for the universe you're working on. It's fun to hear. Well, I appreciate that, Eric. Yeah, I kick myself because I think, like, man, if I would have done Revelations, like, when I first came up with the idea, man, there'd be so many novels now. There'd be so much other stuff, but it may not have been the same universe, because I was younger. I didn't necessarily know what I wanted, and, like, now when I write it, it's different. But you still kick yourself, and I know there's no way to take it back. It's just, I'm one of those people who, it's not really a regret. You just want to spend the time you have appropriately. And I realize more and more when you got, I've got 3 kids now and everything else going on, and you're just like, There is only so much time in the day to do things. Like, just getting ready for this stream tonight. In between everything else I had going on, it was just really tough to get all this cleaned and primed and assembled just so that I could paint this one model tonight. Granted, it's a brand new design and stuff, but feeling a little down. Like, man, why didn't I get more done? Why didn't I get some other stuff? It's just me being me. Alright, so we've got a little bit of black starting to be applied here. Start working on this hand. Time for stripy camo. I want to work on some more camouflage. Because actually, yeah, I saw some of the stuff you were doing recently with your Battletech stuff, Chris. I want to be able to do some more camouflage with my airbrush, but not quite there yet. I'm trying to round out some more of my 11th Myriad. Got to start... Oh, sorry, it's out of focus. Yeah. Got to start doing some more for my Republic forces, and then start doing some more... I don't know what it is. My camera wants to keep focusing. I'll try to fix it for the next stream. I think what the problem is, it's on autofocus. And there's no way quick to fix that. And I got to figure out how to keep it out of autofocus when in streaming mode. I figured it out for the camera, like taking stills. Because it's a very new camera for me. I've only had it for a little while, and I've only used it a couple of times. So I just know that the last one I was using for streaming was not going to work. It all like shutting off constantly. I didn't. Who makes a camera do that? It's stupid. While in use, every 12 minutes, it's going to shut off. You know what's not a useful feature? That. This spot is a little difficult. And now, if I'm going to be crazy, yeah. Been playing a load of Titanfall 2 because my other game's gone stale. External hard drive for Xbox stopped working. Oh, that sucks. Had a ton of my favorite games. Oh, I'm sorry. That is definitely a rip moment. That's not good. That sucks. But Titanfall 2, I loved that game years ago. I played it a lot. That was my primary game for a while. Funny enough, Titanfall was one of the games for inspiration for how I decided war mechs were going to function. So the way I classify war mechs in Revelations is that they are a hybrid between, not hybrid, but kind of like the offspring of Battletech mechs, because they got a lot of firepower, but they're not very agile. So then you got more of like the Titan aspect, where they're way more agile, getting around the battlefield, and it also makes them feel more realistic, because they're not these big, stocky mechs that are just going to get pounded by tanks, because really, Battletech mechs wouldn't really work with conventional tactics, because you just blow the crap out of them with aircrafts or with tanks. But granted, Battletech is also a child of the 80s, so technology wasn't what it is now. So when you try to apply it with now logic, you're like, well, why would you do it that way? Well, you wouldn't. So Revelations Skirmish was designed from the ground up to be a combined arms game, so that infantry and vehicles are effective in the game. They do serve a purpose. They're not just filler for your list. They can do some serious damage. Early on, I had a guy want to play me, and he wanted to only use mechs. So because you use points, build points to build your army, build your force, he wanted to take only mechs, and I'm like, look, I'm telling you right now, you're not going to enjoy that. He's like, no, I want to do it. I want to try it out. I'm like, okay. So I played my Combined Arms Republic company, and he only had the points for like 6 or 7 mechs. I mean, the game was over in like 3 rounds. He was wrecked. He was destroyed. Because he just didn't have the capabilities that I had of activations, of being able to use my infantry. I actually used my infantry to shoot at one of his mechs that jumped up onto a rock using a tactical airstrike. So I used my infantry as my spotters for that card. I don't remember how much damage it did, but I mean, it was still, he was realizing, I think, that he messed up. He enjoyed the game still, which is great. I mean, it's always good when you have somebody enjoy a game even if they lose. Anybody can enjoy a game when they win. The spade I painted turned out nice. I think, Eric, that was the Sierra, right? I don't know if you got the spade. The spade is this big boy. He's big. This is the regular standard spade. Well, this is the Sierra. Notice a little bit size difference. Well, you can't if they're off screen. Yeah, they're very similar. They're meant to be. The spade is meant to be like the big brother of the Sierra. So they look very similar, but that's on purpose. Oops. Then you have heavy gear where the mechs are either one man slightly larger than a human suit or big multi-man striders. Yeah, they're very different there. Games such as Crysis 3, Borderlands 2, and 3 Wolfenstein, New Order, Overwatch, and yes, Halo 5. Only for the games you lost. Ugh. That's a lot of games. Is my head in the shot? No, it's not. But so what I like to do here is I like to, with my Union forces, well, in general with mechs in Revelations, you won't see any exposed piping, gear, cogs, none of that. That doesn't make any freaking sense. So every single mech has some sort of mesh covering, tubing, something. So like for the Union, at least with the Goblin here, it has like this accordion tubing that covers any organs that aren't covered in armor, and they are durable tubing. Like they're meant to withstand a certain amount of small arms fire, heat, shrapnel from getting into the systems. So they do provide additional armor as well. But the Goblin is pretty flexible kind of mech, so that's why it's got a bigger accordion kind of center torso here. But I like to paint it, get it back to like a black, and then I'll go back and dry brush the iron hull gray over it, just lightly, just to break up the gray a little bit, the edges. And I think it looks really good when it's done. It's coming along. It's starting to have some more variety in colors. Remember to swap out your Gabos joint boots every 1,000 miles. Yeah, Don't forget, you got to do, whenever you do the oil change, you got to swap out those accordion guts there, man. You're going to have a real problem if you don't switch them out. And all kinds of dust, and you go to the mech shop, and the guy's like, hey, man, you checked out your air filters lately? I'm like, man, stop trying to sell me stuff. Just fix my mech. Yeah, Eric, so yeah, you got the, when I was doing the special 6mm size, yeah, those were the Sierras. So the Sierras now, for Revelation Skirmish, they're 12mm, so they're larger. 12mm, though, is such a better scale. I know so many experienced gamers are like, nah, 12mm, who does that? I'm like, look, I never played a 12mm game either, but man, when you do 12mm, the mechs are decently scaled so that you can get quite a lot of detail. They're easier to paint. And then the infantry are actually properly scaled. They're not like in a sliding scale. They're more of like a literal scale of, so that's different upside also for 3D printing. But now I love 12mm. I wish other games like BattleTech were 12. I know they've raised it, I think, to 8mm. I think it went to. It used to be 6, even though it never was a really true 6. This is because it was never like standardized. But still. I'm still crying about all the older DOS games that I can't play anymore. Yeah. Heavy Gear does 12mm, and you can buy actual terrain for model trains. Yeah, see? Exactly. That was another reason I ended up going with 12mm because for cost purposes. That was the main thing. Because when I looked at the game and I'm like, okay, well, I really want to do larger. I wanted to do more like 15mm. But then it would be so expensive. Like one mech would be so much. It would have been too expensive, I feel. For most people to play, it would have ended up being... I mean, you would have dropped $50 for a mech. When right now they're $14.99 to $24.99 for the really big ones that we have. Like, to drop that much money on a game you've never played before, I just really felt like people wouldn't do it. But people gave us so much grief when we first started announcing the game. They're like, why are you doing 12mm? All my mechs are in 6mm. I'm like, well, first off, I'm not trying to get... If you want to buy my models and play a different game like BattleTech, go ahead. Like, that's fine. Do it. I'm decently happy to be able to get the sale, right? I'm not going to be stupid and say, no, you can't do it. But at the same time, Games Workshop don't care if you buy their models and play other games. They're like, no, our scale is for 40K. So while my company is nowhere near as big as Games Workshop by any stretch, I realize that almost no other game company cares what people do with their models outside of their game. They're trying to get you to play their game. So, well, I don't want to say I'm like, oh, I don't care whatever. It would make me a little sad to see someone buy some models and blow them up. I wouldn't really be thrilled with that. But I've made peace with the scale. I like it. If people want to buy the STLs and resize the game to be smaller or bigger, that's okay. You can do that. But the official size will still be in the 12. Because our goal wasn't actually to do only skirmish fights. Our goal was to actually do battalion level fights. But because of how expensive it was going to be for people who didn't have armies, we were like, well, maybe let's not, I got the idea not to start there. Let's start on a smaller scale. That also allowed us to sell the game and work on a 3x3. But later we're going to move forward with battalion, which will be up to 36 units per side. And that's going to be super cool. But, that's down the road. Yeah, my plans for a 28mm sear are going to probably be done on the FDM. Yeah, that would be really expensive with resin. Plans are to have it for Field of Legends. Oh, Chris, that tickles me. That's awesome. Next month, God willing, we get all these tokens out this month for the Revelations Kickstarter. Get that entirely finished. Then we're going to move into doing the second Kickstarter for Field of Legends. We're going to be focusing on the Minotaurs, on Tau, the leader of the Minotaurs, and then some other stuff too. And I'm hoping that we can get enough funding here soonish to be able to get the game ready to go this year. I've already got the website developer who did the work for us before. We're going to make it an extension of the Revelations database. So actually we're going to just rename the website, and that way it'll all be together on the same site. Obviously different database, but you know. And then, so they're already in place. I've already got a modeler I really enjoy working with. She does amazing work. So like we've got all the pieces in place, other than the rules are not finished. I need to take this off screen because I need to get this. The rules are not finished, but got a work in progress. The way that we're going to be doing the rules here soon, I think are going to be really great. I think a lot of you guys are going to really enjoy it if you play those types of games, because it's going to be a lot more back and forth and exciting. So I think it's going to work really well. Oh, I missed a spot. I had a feeling that I did. I couldn't think of where it was. It's right here. This tubing that covers the shoulder joint. Oh no! Black on the shoulder! Oh, came right off. We're good. Need to try to be able to see this. Holy crud. But yeah, Field of Legends is going to be a great game. I'm really, really excited about it. I spent a little bit of time working on some thoughts the other day. I'm really, really excited for it. I hope other people will be too, but you know, it's one of those things. I'm trying to pace myself, not go crazy with it until we're kind of ready to get into it. I want to, though. I'm ready to just like jump at it, but I need to be patient and take my time, because I've already got so much stuff I want to do. But I'm you know, I don't know if a lot. As a creative person, I'm so excited to jump to the next thing that I got to be careful and make sure I do things in the proper order, proper speed. But okay, I'm going to set this aside for a bit. We'll go back to the dry brush and the gray after I fix something. I saw something that needed it. Oh yeah, right there. See how the other one is now that I've finished the black here. Just do this real quick, then I get back on camera. Ah, it's spreading. Apparently I missed some of the black. Dang it. it's really hard to see because like this light is nice, but it kind of messes with my eyes a little bit. For because like it's just the paints are not glossy, but some of it appears as though it's glossy, and then when I get close to it, I'm like, "Dang, I missed a spot! And I missed a spot." Alright, I think we're good enough to start dry brushing. Moving on to the dry brush phase. Actually, you know what? Before we do dry brushing, I'm going to do some yellow. Because I like to do yellow on the missile launchers. I don't know why. It speaks to me. Okay. All right, Eric. Well, appreciate you coming out and spending some time with us. Have a good rest of your evening. And yeah, man, if you're on Discord, you need to join the Discord. Be there. Got all kinds of cool stuff. You grabbed the other novels. Hot dog. I imagine you got those off Amazon, but awesome. Thank you very much. Let me know what you think about them after you give them a read. Okay. This is just a little tiny bit of yellow. Just a little bit. Don't need it to be much. Just a little bit. A little bit. Such a small amount. There we go. There we go. Sweet. I'm hoping that'll look a little better after I put the wash on there. Oh no, you bought them off my website. Hot dog! Yeah! It's always exciting when you sell some stuff as an entrepreneur. You sell a little bit, you're like, yeah, everything was worth it. Alright. Do the dry brushing. Which brush do I want to use? My dry brush. This one. We'll just do a little bit of dry brushing here on the black. A little bit, not much. Ow. Careful, do not mess this up. This is not the time to mess up. I'm going to switch brushes. I don't think that brush is going to be good when we start doing some of the other stuff because it's just too tight. Oh, well, we'll save that brush for later. Now, Let's dry brush with this one. This one's a little bit smaller, but it's not necessarily one of my favorites, so it gets a little messed up from dry brushing. It'll be okay. Idea, Mech Dragon minis as super ultra heavy units as an addition. So would that, Roger, be for Revelations? Or would it be for the other game, Field of Legends? So I don't know if you're on our other Discord, are you? There's been so many people who've joined my Discords lately that I'm realizing I don't know everybody's usernames because they use one name on YouTube, they use a different name on Discord, and then if they're following me also on Facebook, they got a different name. I'm like, I gotta remember like 3 different names for this one person. I gotta remember my name. Let's see. It's coming along though. It's starting to have... We're getting away from the solid colors now into the... We'll have to do a dry brush once it's done anyway. But it's just really starting to... Did I paint this? No, I didn't. The heck? Okay, yeah. You went. Okay, winter shade. Yeah. I'm trying my best to remember everybody's different usernames. It's it's quite a challenge. I'm trying. Alright. So, now we need to dry brush some metal. Then we're going to go ahead and do the wash. The kicking the booty. Alright. Metal. What am I going to do for metal? Wait, I have a... Yeah, we're using some P3 Boiler Black, but it's actually very metallic. Oh, and I just forgot. We need to actually do red for all the cameras. Can't do that. I can't do the wash before I've done that. Just need to just dry brush this a little bit. Then dry brush the hands a little bit. I don't know. I've always kind of made my mech hands silver. And it appears I missed the spot that should have been black. Oops. Whenever I dry brush, I try not to go too crazy with it. Unlike Jazzwares. Toy joke. And just try to do it a little bit lighter. But it doesn't always happen. Sometimes it ends up being a little thicker than you want. But when it gets washed, too, in a moment, that'll end up dulling it down, too. I'm also not the greatest painter in the world, so... Still happy with how the Vega turned out. Yeah, man, that paint scheme you came up with what I guess you did, it was just the way that you applied that paint scheme for your units is pretty cool. And it's always exciting to see pictures of people that have painted stuff, to see what they've come up with, because it's paint schemes I never would have thought of, or I never would have done it that way. So it's always cool to see like what other people's creativity comes up with. Because I get in my own head and I'm like, this paint scheme, this is kind of lame. Like when I'm talking about my own stuff, and then you see somebody else and you're like, oh, that's so cool. What they came up with is so different, All right. We're going to go back and do some black, and then we're going to do red. So I missed a spot that I need to actually also paint metal, but I have to first paint it black. Guess we need the wet palette back out because I totally forgot about it. I somehow missed it, probably from the glare or something. Okay, so it was one of these. It was right here. Totally missed it. Didn't miss it now. You bastard, I gotcha. Alright, now we'll go back and we'll dry brush that in a moment. Oh, wait, shoot. No, I need to paint this other stuff. While we're waiting for that to dry, I have something else I can work on. I wanted to start... I bet I can just do it with the red. I'm just going to just try to just do it straight on. We'll just go crazy. We'll just go nuts. See how it works. Oh, what did I want to do there? The teal. I need to do the teal. Emerald, whatever it is. This isn't going to look right. It's going to look different. Well, let's do gray then. This is that part when you're doing something like this, where I'm going back and forth like, oh, okay, well, I could have done this. I could do this. I could do that. And then you're trying to get to the point where you can do the wash. Because that's when the figure really comes together. And that's also when you can basically, depending on how you want to do it, how far you want to go with it, that could end up being your end spot. It won't be for this model, but for others, it could definitely be your end of the line spot. Seems like the music has ceased, which is awkward. I thought it was supposed to be for a lot longer. There we go. Now we got a little bit more variety there. We can do the silver dry brush real quick, and we can move on to the red. Well, it was this hand right here. All right, that's done. Okay. So, Chris, if you're still there, what do you have planned? I guess as you're going to get the Kickstarter files here pretty soon. What are you thinking in terms of? I'm just curious. Like, what are you going to try to see if you can talk a buddy into playing once you can get some stuff printed? Because you got, what, 3 units at the moment. It's not really quite enough to play with. You can do some demo games to an extent. Get down the mechanics. For sure. Alright, so I'm going to start going through and trying to hit all the different eyes, cameras. go. We got a couple here on the head. You got 5 actually. Going to build a Republican Union force. Yeah. So what are you going to do for... I don't know if you even plan to play Mercenaries. If you do, what do you think? Are you going to print totally new units? Or are you going to try to use what you already got for Republic and Union and just say, like, oh, these are my mercs? Because I'm thinking I'm going to go through it. I'm going to... Once I get... enough of the 11th Myriad, I'm going to work on my Republic stuff, and then I'm going to try doing some Orca, I believe. I'll start doing them. Oh yeah, the Pommel and the Vega are too cool not to paint. Come on. They're amazing. They're big, huge units. You'll see once you get more of the... Once you start printing out some of the goblins and other stuff, you'll realize how big the Vega is. It's just massive monster. This is here. Try to fix this eye. I just totally messed it up hugely. Use a blend of it. Okay. Yeah, it's especially if you have limited storage space, it's probably really tough to be like, I'm gonna print 18 full armies just for every combination. I see people do that for like BattleTech where they have so much stuff. And it's even crazier when someone has so much stuff and it's painted. But they've been probably playing the game for 20 plus years. So if you even only painted like a couple models a year over time, you're going to end up with a lot of models and a lot of stuff painted. But I think if I print up to 2 starter sets, I'll be good for teaching people. Yeah, you'll be able to do a lot with those contents alone, but I think you'll find you want more variety in your forces, which I know you'll do. I mean, when you're 3D printing, frick, we'll see how this works out for us. I'm anxiously optimistic. Which is saying a lot for me, because I'm usually a little more... I don't want to say bleak, but to say I'm not nervous about doing these STLs wouldn't be telling the truth. I am nervous. I don't know what it's going to do to our business in terms of sales. I don't know what it's going to do in terms of repeat customers, if it's going to even allow for that, or we'll see. A little nerve-wracking. And then I feel like if it really works, everyone's going to copy us, and then it's going to be like, oh, I came up with it first. Be like, okay, you didn't. I still don't know of any other miniature war game that's doing it, but we'll see. It's a problem less of buying all the minis, but figuring out where to put them. Yeah. I hate not finding... Oh, Jerome. Oh, yeah, for Halo. And when I do, someone else has them in their hands. Oh, jeez. Yeah, it's definitely more of an issue of figuring out where you're going to put all your stuff, because if you have... Like, I finally have way more storage space now with this office, and it's crammed. I don't know how we fit it all into our apartment before. I don't know what we did. It's just like Doctor Who. Like, it's just Bigger on the inside. Just make it work. I think I'm gonna keep. I could keep touching it up and stuff, but I think we need to move on to the wash. I think that's just what we need to do. You stop fiddling with it until we get this wash on here. All right, let's put these brushes back. Get the wash brush out, which is... Where is it? Is that it? No, that's not it. Where's my wash brush? Huh. Is that it? Ah, there you are. Found you. Okay. I've been experimenting with washes lately, so like making my own. So I'm really hoping this is the right one. It looks like it's right. But I only recently went today and labeled them, and I'm like, oh boy, I probably should have done that a lot sooner. If I was going to start mixing them and just leaving them next to each other and not know which one's which. Being able to load the STLs into SolidWorks and test render color schemes is handy. Oh man, that's actually a pretty cool way to do that. That'd be a very cool way to do that. All right, let's get this wash on here. Wash is always exciting because it's just, it really starts to show the model off whenever you get to this point. It really comes alive. It stops looking quite so amateurish. Which for me makes me feel a little better because the whole time I'm sitting there judging it. You look like crap. Why do you look like crap? Who told you could look like crap, model? Put all my love into painting you and you look like garbage. Plus, I know I'm still learning as a painter. I'm not anywhere near the best. I see some of the stuff people do for like these other games, and man, their stuff is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And I just keep tinkering away, getting better and getting better, slowly but surely, hopefully. If it wasn't so expensive, you could print in full color. Yeah, I know Hero Forge is experimenting with that, but I mean, they had to raise, it was $1 million to be able to do that. That's not exactly affordable. But once that technology becomes more available, the printer guys are going to have things cut out for them a little bit. Not printer, the painter, custom painters. But only for like certain armies, because they're still going to be needed for... You're doing something like this where it's way too unique, way too different between each limb. If I had a whole company like this that was all different, which I am going for, then that'd be really hard to do with technology. It's not anywhere near being ready for that. We'll see some cool things in our lifetime, though. We're already seeing some amazing technological advancements. Who knows where 3D printing is going to be in 15 years? Could end up being really, really, really cool. There's another game store near a place called Bits and Buttons. You should check out those stores because they got stuff there you would like. Well, if I see one, I'll be sure to. I've never heard of them, so I don't know if we have them in my area or not. But I always like, whenever I do travel, I try to make it a point to go in whatever hobby store or game stores I can, just because you never know like what products they're going to have there, so it's always cool to go and just check it out. I went to Alabama last summer, and that was a really cool trip because it was the first trip we've taken as a family. Whenever I've gone before on vacations, it's been with my parents or her parents, with my wife, and now like don't have a lot of disposable income to go on trips, but it was our first one we got to take as a family on our own, so it was interesting. But they had some hobby stores there. Oh my gosh. The game stores there they got in Alabama blew the ones I've got here in Florida away. The selection of the products was so huge. There was this one store had games in it I've never heard of. And they didn't have like one box set of it. Man, they had shelves of these games. I'm like, man, they've got an active miniature community here. Unfortunately, because of COVID, I wasn't able to really see what a regular game night was like because they just, they didn't really have a lot of people playing in the store, obviously. They weren't letting them. But if I get a chance to go back, I want to see it because, man, that'd be something. Oh, I didn't even do this arm at all. Jeez. I'm sitting there looking at the white like, man, that gray looks awfully clean. Okay, you're going to shoot the address over? All right, cool, thank you. Might end up being too far, but who knows? Maybe if I'm in the area, I'll go check them out again. Not again, for the first time, because, like I said, it's always cool to go to new stores because it's just interesting to see all the different stuff. Need to make sure I do this spot right here. I don't think I did. Alright. Well, there we go. It's not finished. Still need to let it dry. Come back and do some more dry brushing on it to clean some stuff up. But overall, it's pretty good. Pretty happy with where we're going. It's not... What's weird, though, is I messed up, and I didn't... So I don't really know how well they're going to match. I think they look better on camera than they do in person. They're not too bad. I bet when I get done dry brushing, it'll end up fixing it. If you make it up to Pennsylvania, there's the Complete Strategist and King of Prussia. They've got tons of old sourcebooks, minis, and games from original... All right. They got it for original MSRP. Holy cow, that's a good price. Because, man, stuff today is really expensive in a lot of ways. That was another thing we tried to do with Revelations. We're trying to make it affordable because we know, I mean, inflation's coming, boys. Inflation's coming. It's already here in a lot of ways. But it's going to get worse. And I'm hoping that our game will be priced at a point where people can still afford it. Because you need entertainment. Like, man, things are going to get weird. And it's not going to be pleasant some days. But we'll get through it. It's just, it's going to be a little bumpy. All right, put that there. Well, I think that'll probably it's probably a good spot to go ahead and stop for the night. I don't want to touch it while it's finishing drying. I've already got the bases basically done, so there's not much to do in the meantime. So I don't want to really dump in or dive into anything else. So we'll just go ahead and stop it here. Thank you guys very much for being here tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I appreciate the support. I mean that genuinely, because I can't watch my own videos. YouTube doesn't like that. But anyway, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you again to both of you being on Discord and everything. So I'll talk to you guys later. All right, see you guys. Have a good night.